COO of the Rams, Kevin Demoff, joining us right now, as well as his daughter, Claire, who is here with us. Kevin, this is a pretty good setup. We should do this more often.
We should do this more often. The way you describe it makes me sound like a turducken, right? Like a duck within a turkey. No, YouTube Theater is a hidden gem, I think.
Yeah.
People come to SoFi Stadium all the time. It's one we've always, when we built YouTube Theater, the idea was we would do Rams events in here along with, we have about 60 music shows here a year. But it's great to see our fans fill this building. And what a fun night just to hear from coaches, players, executives, a little bit of sparring on stage, and have some fun.
Having fun. Are you nervous that Claire's going to interview you?
I am
you
not
have to
nervous.
be, right?
There's nothing that she'll ask tonight that I haven't already heard.
Really?
Now, you guys may goad her into this, but, my daughter, for those listening, 17-year-old, wants to be in sports media, so I'm trying to talk her out of it. So.
It's a great job. Come on. You love us. You love talking to the media. What are you talking about?
I do love talking to the media. I was once one of the media, so I do enjoy it. But, at least when we're good.
Let me ask you, let me start here with this question here. How did you phrase 2023 going into training camp? What did you call it? What did you say it was?
The word I heard was remodel.
Remodel. No one wanted to say rebuild.
I think we used every word there is, right? Yeah. Like remodel, redesign, and I was joking up on stage. I wrote a season ticket holder letter last year at this time, basically being like, we're not going to suck. We're going to be good. We truly do believe this, but it will be a different year. And Claire will tell you at the end of the year when we're watching games, you're watching some of the other games at the very end of December when we're trying to make the playoffs and you're home, especially after that Saints game. And I'm like, I really want to make it because we had a vision for what last year could be. And it was maybe hard to see this time last year that we could really remodel. Was not rebuild because we still had a Matthew Stafford, a Cooper Kupp, and Aaron Donald. You're not rebuilding with those players. You're not rebuilding with a Sean McVay. But it was changing a little bit of our philosophy last year so we could get back to being aggressive. And so really rewarding to see it pay off. And I was saying on stage earlier that the number of people who came up to me last year and then this offseason saying last year was one of the most fun years they had as a Ram fan. Not the same as 2021 or 2018, sure, but just pure joy of watching that team grow from the offseason to training camp to week 1 against the Seahawks to where we finished against the Saints to making the playoffs. It was a fun journey watching these personalities come alive, watching this team come alive. And, very proud of the organization, and now can't wait to go back to the lab and rebuild.
It's one of my favorite things. Seeing your
rebuild
dad,
for
fist pump. It's really
rebuild
cool.
for this year, not
yes.
rebuild. I want to be very clear.
Right. Rebuild for 2024.
Rebuild can come back in the lexicon, but not maybe the way that it.
We'll make sure you don't get aggravated.
Build upon.
Build upon.
Yeah.
Do you go crazy at games, Claire? Do you go nuts? Are you subdued?
Not as much as him. No.
Yeah.
Sometimes I get so nervous though I stop breathing.
Before the game?
No, during the game.
See, I keep asking
I'll hold
him.
my breath for
I
full
ask you
plays.
every game, are you nervous? And you tell me, no.
No, he's so nervous.
I just handle it better. I still, one of my favorite visions from all of my time in the Rams, Super Bowl drive, Matthew Stafford, Cooper Kupp going down the field. We're, everybody's dialed in. Les Snead is in the back of the suite, basically kneeling, crouching, muttering to himself, not watching.
Well, just because you're that nervous doesn't mean you're not nervous.
And I mean, it was just, we're sitting back there, and Les's phrase in 2021 was not, to be anti-fragile, to be resilient. So he's literally in the corner of the suite muttering, not anti-fragile,
Wow. Mantra.
And we're like, even Stan's kind of looking and being like, this is our GM?
Wow.
But you know what? When we scored the touchdown, all was good.
Yeah, I was going to say that was a pretty good moment. Kevin Demoff, the Rams COO, his daughter Claire, joining us here at Rams Revealed inside of YouTube Theater. It's just been a great night. You're talking about the vision that you had when you were putting this place inside of SoFi Stadium. Go back to when the team came back to Los Angeles. In your perfect vision of how this thing had played out over not quite at a decade, but we're getting close. Is this about as good as you could have hoped for to this building, a really good team, a Super Bowl championship, another Super Bowl appearance, a coach that feels like he's not just a good coach, but maybe something incredibly special in the history of this league? Could you have asked for anything more?
Yeah, no. And, I think when you look back, when we first moved back, I'd always tell the staff, every decision we should make, I said 10 years from now in 2026, when the NFL asked, did we get it right by moving the Rams back to Los Angeles? That answer has to be a resounding yes. But everything we do has to be pointed towards that goal. It can't just be short term. It can't be immediate gratification. And, when you talk about the journey back, I wouldn't have wanted 4-12 in the first year.
Sure.
right? But what that led to was an examination of what are we doing right, what are we doing wrong, and to lead us to Sean McVay, that is still, he will go down in the history books. The fact that he just this year is no longer the youngest head coach,
Finally,
but he's the 5th longest tenured coach in the NFL.
Amazing.
Right now.
Yeah.
And, hopefully this year, assuming we have a halfway decent year, will become the all-time winningest coach in Rams history, 85 years. And then you build upon that, this amazing stadium that Stan built, this journey that's happened, 5 playoffs in the last 7 years, 2 Super Bowls, a Super Bowl title right here in this building. I look on stage and see Andrew Whitworth, who won Walter Payton Man of the Year in this building, which I think is such a great testament to the work of this community. We do in the community, spearheaded by players like Andrew. We're going to see players like Puka and Steve Avila come, who are the next generation, the Kyron Williams. It's not just what came here at start. You're building something for the future. I said this earlier, and I believe it. This is, to me, the best I've felt about our organization since we moved back. Just when you look at everything humming at the right level, from coaching staff to players, to fandom, to the way the building's operating, to just the community feel. I feel like we're hitting our peak and our stride. But, look, there's a lot of work to do. And the great part in Los Angeles, you're never done.
No.
You're competing for a title every year. And you look at a team like the Dodgers, just when you think, hey, 10 straight playoffs, we're just going to go up it with Shohei Ohtani and Yamamoto. That's what I love about being in this market is you can't become complacent with a good season, a title. You have to chase it every year, and you have so many great franchises here who do chase it. It raises the bar for all of us.
Sounds fun, exhausting, but fun, right? But you wouldn't have it any other way. This is the way you'd like to have it, chasing championships every single year.
I think when you come to a market like this, in any market you're chasing championships. Los Angeles, Inglewood was known as the city of champions, right? That tells you all you need to know about what is expected here, what happened up the street at the Forum. And, we expect to compete for championships year in and year out. That doesn't mean it's always going to work. And I think when you look at, last year, it was really extending that window to make sure that it wouldn't just close with that group, but that you could keep going after championships, keep trying to win. And, we have an amazing fan base, amazing ownership group that gives us every resource, to go succeed. And the only impediment is ourselves. And when you look at that and say that's the only thing holding you back from a championship, that is great motivation to get up every day and have action.
Lombardi resides in Inglewood. How are we doing so far, Claire, on the interview? Are we okay? How's he doing?
Okay.
Really? You got any tips? What should I ask him next? Because I have a question about Raheem Morris. Should I ask him that question?
You should ask him about his embarrassing moments.
I'll let you ask him. Embarrassing moments. Go ahead.
Because you're pretending right now that you're the best person ever.
Wow.
And I think people should know the real you.
You put her on the headset.
And
Go ahead.
I don't know how to, you're very special.
He's dad.
Last night, your mom said you were very special.
Go special.
Our fans say a lot of, you read the comments online, they don't bite like your own family, right?
No, it hits a little different.
It hits a little different when it comes from your own family. And
flesh and blood.
Remember, he's going to buy you a car.
As Claire said,
He's already bought me.
Claire says her job is to tear me down.
Okay,
so she must be on Twitter or X because she can come, rattle them off with the best of them.
Oh my God! Straight to the point.
Straight to the point.
Let me ask you about Raheem Morris, and tell me if this is fair. I hope he loses to the Rams in every NFC Championship game for the next 12 years.
Did you hear what Sean said?
What did he say?
He goes, I'm so excited for Raheem ass. He goes, but we're going to beat his ass every time.
There you go.
Falcons, right?
I think that's fair, right?
Absolutely. We're going to know how to attack him.
Yeah, but you're happy for his opportunity.
I will say this. When Raheem called to tell me he got the job, I was so excited for him. It was one of my moments of joy, followed by this immense pain of how much he means to our organization and meant. And that gut punch that he's not going to be there the next day.
Wow.
Right? You're so excited for who he is and what he's earned. And, I remember, this is a poignant story. When we hired Raheem, and it was right after Brandon Staley had been with us a year and gotten hired as a head coach. And we hired Raheem, and I worked with Raheem in Tampa. It was so great to have him back. And I was like, we're going to get you a head coaching job. And he looked me square in the eyes and he said, Kevin, he goes, people like me don't get head coaching opportunities the second time in the NFL. And it was not a laughing matter. It was very direct. A commentary on where black coaches are in our league, where he thought his opportunity was. To see him 3 years later, a Super Bowl champion, get to go back to Atlanta as a head coach is so special, I think, for everybody in this building. But we're going to miss him, and I'm so excited for Chris Shula and his opportunity. But Raheem Morris was the glue to our organization. Meant so much to everybody. I think you know, you don't replace people like that. We will do our best, but he's going to be an amazing addition for the Falcons, and I hope to see them here at SoFi in January.
Yeah, he's maybe the best example of what I wanted to ask you about next, Kevin. We're talking with Kevin Demoff, the COO of the Rams, that –
special.
Because the team very special.
In a positive way.
of the Los Angeles Rams, according to his own flesh and blood. The brain drain every year, right? That you have a coordinator that becomes a head coach. You have, then he's going to take players with him, and it's not just one guy every here or there. It's every year. It seems like people come and raid Sean McVay's staff to go and build their own programs. Does it ever get any easier trying to deal with this?
I feel for Sean, right? This was a year in which you were hoping Raheem would get a job, but you were hoping for some security with the staff and the way it was built, especially after he kind of rebuilt it last year. And to lose, I walked in today to first day of drafting to the coach, and I look around, I'm like, I don't know any of these people. We got like 9, 10 new faces who are here, who are coming, but Sean does such a great job of finding people who are fits, and I think he keeps refining it each year. And, someone this year, like a Nate Shieldhouse coming from Iowa State, OC, a young up-and-comer, bringing him in really to kind of come for a few years. Nick Haley last year, who had a couple of opportunities to go be an offensive coordinator in the NFL this year and turn them down, I think was a great addition to the staff. You continue to see it across the board. And then one of the things that's great to see, the Aubrey Pleasants of the world who come back.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we always talk about, it's such a great environment. Listening to Mike LaFleur up on stage, people who might have had bad experiences in other buildings who come back in, feel what it's like to be part of a Sean McVay staff, feel what it's to be part of this organization. And look, having a successful organization means every person in the building on the same page, pulling for one another, having joy playing football. And I think that's one of the great things in our building. We're a serious football building, but we have fun.
Yeah.
And I think, football is important, the X's and O's, and I think we do it at as high of a level as anybody. But people can be themselves. And, you show up, you have fun, and hopefully you go win on Sundays. And, that's what's great. But it is exhausting. I feel for Sean, he wants to go on vacation each year at the end of the season. It's always about coaching. Coaching. Even you think okay, you're disappointed you lose to Detroit, but there's always that bittersweet end of the year where it's like, okay, you get a little bit of a break, and it's like, no, you're right into filling your coaching staff and, 9, 10 additions every year. And I'm sure we're probably at over 40 changes probably, on that staff since Sean's been here.
Wow.
But you think about him, this is, he just finished 7 years as a head coach. He's had 5 head coaches.
Unreal.
It's unreal.
Get hired. Then you add a Jed Fish in at a place like University.
Yeah,
Husky.
Wolf, our Huskies. Come on now.
And then, probably another 6 or 7 coordinators across the league. It's an impressive – his tree, is now a forest.
Pretty big. Yeah.
Grove, orchard, forest. It's more than a tree.
It's more than a tree, for
pretty
sure.
demanding, but pretty big tree. Absolutely.
No question.
This year, you got a first rounder? You got some money? This is fun,
got
right?
everything for the first time in a while.
You're coming off a playoff season. This is fun.
This is fun, right? I think this is the – a year ago, and I put this in the letter, the problem was we had always been so aggressive. We just didn't have the draft picks or the salary cap space to win those battles. When you go into a Christian McCaffrey trade, people can outbid you. That was never the case with us before. And, now, with hopefully 11 picks, once we get these compensatory picks and, a first rounder, maybe 4 picks in the top 100, about $45, $50 million of salary cap space, we can go be the Rams. We can be aggressive. We can jump out. And I think one of the things that people didn't get last year is we didn't have to be as aggressive. I don't want to say tearing it down, but making the moves we did. We could have kicked the can down the road. There are other teams that do that. But we wanted to get back to, I think, being able to take big swings and being able to really, if a player becomes available through a contract dispute or, falls out of favor through a salary cap cut, or we can move up in the draft or trade back. All of those options are available to us. Not something we haven't had, but it's funny. I remember we sat with Sean in Les the first day of the offseason. And Sean asked Tony, he goes, how much money do I have? And Tony gave him a number. And Sean's like, wow, that's more than I've ever had in my career. By the end of that night, he's like, how do I get more money? Right? He was like.
Wow. So you need to get the answer to that, Claire. It's a very important question. Like, okay, how much do you have now? How do we get more
in 2017,
I wish
told
they
him.
taught us that in school.
2017, I think we had $40 million in cap space. And he's like, how much? We have like $45 million, maybe 50, low 50s, depending on where the cap finishes. And he's like, oh, my God, that's great. He goes, how much did I have last year? We're like, -2.
Wow.
He's like feeling great. By the end, he goes, how do we get to like 50, 60, 70 million. We're like, you don't.
Easy.
Take it easy.
I mean, this is, this guy got a payday loan and,
Wow.
is out there buying a Bentley.
Heck yeah. I like it. We'd all do the same thing. Come on.
Absolutely.
Those of us who oversee the cap are like, can't you just get a Toyota, a
Buy a
Ford,
Camry and run forever.
maybe like a Range Rover? No, we've got a Bugatti.
You're dang right.
And we need a second one because one isn't enough.
Absolutely.
I got one quick one for you, Kevin. You mentioned his name a second ago, and I remember, sitting in the press box, and when they put him up on the board on Thursday Night Football, the Saints game, when Shohei Ohtani was in the building, and just the buzz that went through it. And, we've seen LeBron James there. We've seen, it's Los Angeles. Celebrities come to games. Was the Ohtani thing even another level for you?
Insane.
Yeah.
I think our players, he's so big.
He's huge.
He's standing there on the sideline and, I remember
fits.
Rob Havenstein, Bobby Brent, looking up and they're like, that's a dude, right?
Yeah.
I just think what he does is so, you think about Matthew Stafford and Aaron Donald wrapped up in one.
Right.
Right?
Wow.
That's insane.
Yeah.
He's, last year, Lamar Jackson and Myles Garrett, right?
Wow.
That's an amazing player.
The person providing the most buzz was my brother.
Yeah,
Your brother?
Brother loves
He
Shohei
loves
Ohtani.
Oh.
Everybody
Shohei
loves
Ohtani.
Shohei.
He got a jersey yesterday for his birthday.
Yeah, there you go. So, but you talk about he was in our locker room.
Yeah.
And he really doesn't speak English, right?
Yeah.
So, you're just taking it all in, and that
Got that
language gap
buzz.
makes it almost even more amazing because he has a way of communicating with those players, and just the smile on his face was awesome. And he's such an amazing athlete. And I think that just goes to show when you talk about Los Angeles, this is meant for the big stage, big players. It's why you build a place like SoFi Stadium, and it's a great credit. This crowd here. You talk about that Thursday night. I thought that atmosphere was one of the best regular season atmospheres we've had at SoFi Stadium in my time, since it's been open. And that's kind of when you look at these fans who are here tonight, what we've built. We have plenty of games for their visiting fans, don't get me wrong. But that core fan base that's out here tonight that showed up for, those 4-game win streak is an amazing fan base, one to build off of. And, the players like Shohei, the players like Matthew Stafford, Aaron Donald, Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, they're what make you so excited to be in Los Angeles because that stardom here is unlike any other place.
Kevin Demoff is the COO of the Los Angeles Rams. His daughter Claire called him very special in the middle of this interview. Thank you both.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Fantastic. And good job, Claire. It is Rams Revealed live from the YouTube Theater, and Puka Nacua just walked onto the stage. Seems like a pretty popular guy. More to come. 7:10.